Why do so many people hate anime? The worst part of anime is anime fans. Too many tired tropes. Whiny teenage characters. Cheap filler. Creepy fanservice. Convoluted storylines. Overdramatic reactions, etc. It often gets annoying quickly. Some nice ideas, but most of them feel poorly executed to me or drawn out for way too long. I think weeaboos give it a bad connotation and that turns people off from the genre. It's not so much anime itself that people hate. It's the people who make anime their entire personality that people hate. And therefore gives a lot of anime its bad reputation. Oh, and the weird sexualization of minors and occasional Nazi fetishization. For every one great anime there are 10,000 pieces of shit standing behind it. Anime is massively oversaturated with bad shows. The rampant sexualization of minors is one big reason. Gratuitous leering creep shots of questionably aged girls. I just don't like the style or animation. Wouldn't necessarily say that I hate it. I just don't enjoy watching it. So I don't. Sexualization of minors is a big fucking no-no, to state the obvious. And furthermore, I don't want to be that guy. But believe me, in any school I ever attended as a kid, you did not want to be the kid who was into anime. Because the fans. I start watching anime since I was 3 years old, cause all my sisters, brothers, even my mom watches anime. But recently every time I watch an adult acting like an anime character I feel like I'm gonna throw up and can't watch a single AP. I hate the fans. They're insufferable. It gives me a bad taste about the actual genre. Because much of it sexualizes young girls. I don't care if it's said to be a 8,000-year-old demon. The childlike innocence and sexual immaturity tropes get old quick when you're a grown-ass man. Maybe because people find the voices annoying because high-pitched girls. For the absolute life of me, cannot get myself to like it. I've tried watching a few with my weeb-ass friend and I've come to the conclusion that it's just not for me. Aside from the cyberpunk anime, that shit's kinda tight. Check out Anime IRL subreddit. A load of their followers love the questionable content other people are describing. Anybody who calls them out gets downvoted a lot. You can tell a lot of Japanese authors are a bit twisted as well. Mushoku Tensei and Made in the Abyss, for instance. Good stories, but the authors always slip in weird, questionable content. I don't hate anime, I'm just not interested. I have been watching anime for 25 years and I have to say, 90 is pure fanservice and or crap. I realized this when I tried to recommend anime to a non-anime watcher and I always say the same old titles. And when a new anime season starts every 3 months or so, from all the new titles I watch from 0 to 3, and most likely I end up dropping yours, an anime fan. Toxic fanbase. And also, while quality anime does exist, it's often the cringe stuff people think about. Depends where you're from. Here in SE Asia, you're the weird one if you don't like anime. It's cringy as fuck. For me it's mainly because of the massive amount of sexual pedo content in it. Which, it's not that I even dislike sexual content, but the type that is typically in anime is exceptionally annoying and or misogynistic. I just can't see the appeal. There's also other reasons that I dislike a lot of anime, such as tropey, shitty writing with shallow characters. But that isn't something exclusive to anime lol. Because really good anime are like 20 in total. Once you have seen the good ones you're done. There's nothing more to explore. It's usually incredibly sexist and pedophilic. The reactions are ridiculous and over the top and annoying. The women are usually just tropes that walk around half naked making high-pitched noises. and the internal monologues make me wanna die. I loved 80s and 90s anime. It seems less blockbuster anime comes out anymore. Akira still looks better than 90 of the anime that comes out now. I personally don't. But the biggest problem I have is terrible voice acting when dubbed. I can't judge for the original languages. But by the amount of yelling sometimes I'm guessing it's not always stellar. Depends. I like some anime but hate others. Some major reasons being over-sexualization of women and the most obvious pandering to pedophilia I've ever seen. They don't. But the weebs are not good ambassadors of their hobby, coming across as oddballs as some do. Beyond that, it's just purely a cultural difference. People don't get the nuance of Japanese humor or thinking as it is displayed in anime. And most don't have the time to become knowledgeable because it requires watching and reading loads of content. Because it's weird and super overdramatic. Weebs. It's the same feeling of when you kinda like a PvP game but the community eventually makes you hate the game and kicks you out. Regarding anime in particular, I find some types cringe but I respect personal taste and there are anime I like. It's not the anime, it's the fans. Because not everyone has a good taste. Probably because of the fans. The pace of storytelling can be painful. The childlike expressions in adult situations is off-putting. But the worst is the hardcore fans. I don't think anyone hates it. It's more that the hardcore fans are embarrassing and ridiculous. I don't think people really hate anime. They're like any TV shows. For me, it's the fans. More specifically the weebs. Low-quality lazy animation. Oh good. Another scene of the backs of character heads recapping the last episode. Annoying characters. Annoying typical anime bullshit. I had to stop watching FMA because of Edward doing that thing where he goes all chibi and starts yelling at people for calling him short. Apparently that is one of the anime that is held in extremely high regard. Weirdo incel culty customer base. I don't necessarily have an issue with anime itself so much as I have an issue with weirdo weebs. I think most people who don't care for it just find it irrelevant. But maybe roll their eyes at the fan culture that has emerged around it. For the most part, one find it pretty cringe. The characters' reactions. The fight scenes that take a week long and just end up being 90 conversation about how they grew up. The overreactions. Boring and overused storylines. Biggest pet peeve for anime is when the mouths are on one side of the characters' faces when they're turned. Just doesn't sit right with me. It's a wide medium. And although the best anime is pretty complicated and even kinda trippy, there's a lot of real cheap bottom-of-the-barrel stuff. Powers and strength based on feelings. Cheap dead-faced girls. Harem and underage stuff. Generic characters and trope plots. I personally don't like the art style and also the voice acting is often boring or even annoying. Western cultures don't understand that it is a medium, not a genre, and so they judge all anime with a very narrow brush. It's like if you watched Godfather and said this was boring derivative schlock. Now I hate all films. Film isn't a genre. It's a medium. It would be silly to hate all films just because you disliked one. Same thing with anime haters. They just don't know what they're talking about, but that won't stop them from squawking about it and trying to feel superior. I don't hate anime, but I recall when everyone around me in high school started watching them. They did it because they wanted to be part of the community. They wanted to be labeled as anime connoisseurs, not for the anime itself. That was pretty silly in my opinion. But I actually enjoyed the few anime that I watched. I don't like cartoons.